There we go. Yesterday and the day before, we learned that the Jewish people are called God's first fruits. And the reason the Jews are called God's first fruits, at first glance, is not really so understandable. Because first fruits is just one of the commandments that we have to bring. And the Rebbe said even more. It seems to be implying that first fruits are more important than we think. Because here's talking about ki tavo la'oretz, when you come to the land of Israel. So this is the first thing you do after you conquer the land. You have to bring these first fruits. And the idea of coming to the land of Israel means coming to the true will, or eretz means ratzon. And the first fruits, you have all these first fruits. So it says the Jewish people are called the first fruits, and the commandment of bringing the first fruits is, in one way, is representative of all of the other commandments in the Torah. Why? Because it's an action, and we're giving thanks to God. Thanks to God, this bringing the first fruits, you make this whole long statement about thanking God. You took us out of Egypt, and you brought us to Israel, and you gave us the land, and now you gave us the Holy Temple. This whole big statement of thanks, but which we do every day, we thank God, right? With our prayers, thank God. But the uniqueness of first fruits is that we do it. We do something. We're thanking God in action, in deed. So there's a lot of commandments, but the commandments and thanking God in the whole Torah, they're not linked together. Either we thank God in prayer, or we do the commandments. But thanking God by a commandment, the whole commandment is a deed, and this deed is only to thank God. This is only found by Bikurim. So now we can understand this is the whole novelty of the first fruits regarding all the other ways of praising God. The whole thing of first fruits is revealed how it is that the true existence of the Jewish people is totally one with God. You take the first fruits, what do you do with them? You bring them to the Holy Temple and you say, this belongs to you, God. Okay, and therefore, Kol HaPratim, what does it mean? That the Jewish people, they are the first fruits. It means that they belong in the Holy Temple and they belong totally to God. What does it mean? You're supposed to be in the Holy Temple. You're not supposed to work. You're not supposed to get married. You're supposed to be in the Holy Temples. No, we're supposed to, the whole world is a Holy Temple. We have to reveal it. Therefore, just like in the Holy Temple, there's all these laws and details and restrictions and commandments. The same thing in the whole world. The whole world, the restriction, but the job of the Jewish people, because we are God's first fruits, so therefore we have to make everything lifnei Hashem Elokecha, in front of God. Mishetakef bekiyum mitzvahs. Shtakef. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Sorry. Mishtakef. This let's say encompasses doing the commandments of Bikurim simply by the Jewish people. This is not just saying thanks with speech. Elagam b'maisa, indeed, shemevim et haperot, you bring physical fruits in front of God, and these physical fruits remain in the temple in the possession of God. These physical fruits transform to be holy. This then permeates the whole being of a Jew, that the one who is bringing these first fruits. And it permeates in thought, speech, and action. Shehu, the Jew, nasa, he does, ha'omer, what he said, she'omer u'mezamer et shivcha, that he is saying and singing the praises of God. Ve'anita v'amarta, like it says, you should answer and you should say in front of God, good. V'kol ha'sovavim kolel ha'kohen, and everyone around, including the Kohen, the Kohen that is in these days, and also God himself, so to speak. He is listening to what you say. Lorach b'yachas, not just in regarding to that God is a creator and we are the creations. Shaniva, that the creation is thanking God on the fact that God is creating me keeping me alive, but also the creator and the creation, but they remain two separate things. No, by means of doing this commandment of the first fruits, this reveals below in this physical world how it is that the Jewish people, they are really the first fruits of the whole entire world. That for them, the whole world was created. In other words, the Jewish people, their whole thing is to be connected to the Creator and to connect the whole world to Creator. It's almost like you say, your team wins, right? The Detroit Tigers, they win the championship. So everybody in Detroit said, "Oh, these are our boys. These are us. They won the champ. We are champions. We are champions." Well, the Jewish people are people like everybody else, but we're the team. We're the team. And if we do what God wants, then it shows the whole world says, "Wow, we're the winners. We're God's creations. They did it for us. They gave us pride. They gave us identity. That's the idea of taking first fruits to the Holy Temple. The Jewish people, by means of taking first fruits of the Jewish temple, shows that the Jewish people themselves are first fruits, but they're part of the world. They're like the home team. From this, it's understood, Klali mitzvahs bikurim, the whole general thing of the commandments, shemakasher otam. Why is it that bikurim somehow or other is representative of all of the Torah and all the commandments? The first fruits, they reveal the whole purpose of doing Torah and the commandments by a Jew. Gam also nishma b'guf, even though that a Jew is found in this physical world, nevertheless he can feel that he is the first fruits of God. Because he's totally one with God. Like it says, Lifnei Hashem Elokecha, that Jewish people and God are totally one, and even more, and in a deeper way. That the Jewish people are the first fruits. Machshavtam shel Yisrael, because it shows that the thought of God creating a people called the Jewish people, this was before all creation. The Jewish people, the Jewish souls, the idea that there was going to be a Jewish people, this preceded the whole entire creation, spiritual as well. Hu afilu legabi Torah. It's even higher than the Torah. The Jewish people are higher than the Torah. That's what we just finished learning in the Likutei Torah. God forbid a Jew can transgress the whole Torah, but when he gets to the essence of the Jewish soul, it brings forgiveness. Even though the Bereshis, Beit Reshis, when it says that God created the world, what's the first word in the Torah? Beit Reshis, two beginnings. God created the world for the sake of the Torah and for the sake of the Jews. For the sake of the Torah, that the Torah is called Reshit. It's called the beginning of God's way in the world. And the world was also created for the sake of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are also called Reshit. They're called the beginning of God's produce. Shnei Devarim, there's two things that preceded the world, the Torah and the Jews. Why do you say the Jews are before the Torah? It says, Eini Yodea, I don't know, this is from the Midrash. I don't know which one of them is first. Are the Jews before the Torah or the Torah is before? Maybe they're at the same time. It says, Hari Kashu, and it says, Tzavas ben Israel, when it says in the Torah, command the Jewish people, Daber ben Israel, speak to the Jewish people. So it must be that there was already a Jewish people there before God gave the Torah. Omar Ani, I say, therefore, the Jewish people are first. Kivin Shekal Torah, because the whole Torah are commandments for the Jews. So there must have been Jews there to command. Where were the Jews? They were in the essence of God. Says the Rebbe, Ein Pirish B'zeh Shel Yisrael, doesn't mean that the Jewish people, Kefi Sheim, as they are before the world, Ein Shum Sheichos. It doesn't mean that because the Jews are before the Torah, it doesn't mean they don't have any connection with the Torah. Kamuvan B'zeh, like it says, the Teva Achas, that is one word, Bereshit. Wait, let's think about this in another way. What did we just finish learning? Even if a Jew transgresses the whole entire commandments, everything, but if he screams out to God in regret from the essence of his soul, so God forgives him. So a Jew could think, hey, that's pretty good. I can do all the sins. And if I scream out from the essence of my soul, so God is going to forgive me. So, maybe I'll do a few more sins. I really love driving my motorcycle on Shabbos. All the roads are filled. And I also really like to eat like a big lobster, man. You ever eat a lobster? Wow, that's something good. So what? I'll drive on Shabbos and I'll eat the lobster. God forbid, and I'll do tshuva. Because, in other words, a Jew has no connection to the Torah. You can just, we're totally above the Torah. So a person can think that, says the Rebbe, it's a big mistake. True, the Jews are above the Torah, and therefore they can find forgiveness for anything they did. True. But Bereshis, Kolelas, that the Torah and the Israel, because the one word includes both of them. Klomer, even though that in a revealed way the Torah and the Jewish people are two separate things. And you might think that the Jews are first. That's what it said in the Midrash. But really, ube'etzem, and the essence, they are one thing. The Jewish people are tied with the Torah, and the Torah is a tie to the Jewish people. All the Torah is just commandments for the Jewish people, and the Torah is our life. The meaning that so what does it mean that the Jewish people are before the Torah? It means al derech siba masovev. It's sort of like a cause and effect, so to speak. The Torah was given for the sake of the Jews in order to come. Therefore, we can say that the Jews were before. The Jews sort of caused the Torah to be given. Therefore, pikuach nefesh dochet Torah. Therefore, if a person's life is at stake, then he doesn't have to do the Torah. If somebody holds a gun to the head of a Jew and says, eat this not kosher food and don't keep Shabbat, light the lights on Shabbat, whatever it is, transgress the Shabbat, and do all the sins except for 3 sins, right? There's only 3 sins: to kill somebody else, and to have forbidden sexual relationships, and to worship idols. Those 3 things the Jew is supposed to die and not do. Those that overrides the Jew. But the whole rest of the Torah, if a Jew's life is at stake, as pekuach nefesh dochet the Torah, that if a person's life is at stake, then he pushes away the whole entire Torah. Right? If a doctor says the only way you're going to live is if you eat pork, you have to eat the pork. The only way that this person is going to live is if you drive the car on Shabbat. Drive the car on Shabbat. There's no such thing as doing the Torah if there's no Jews. You have to have Jews that will receive and that will do the Torah. That's what it is, Moshiach Kilat Yaakov. Which is not the case, the existence of the Jews. Shayech afilu im adam over al Torah v'mitzvahs. The Jewish people, so to speak, can exist without the Torah, even if all the Jewish people transgress all the Torah. The Jews are still Jews. Like it says, Afal pi shechata Yisraelu. Even though a Jew does sins, he's still a Jew. Even since the Jewish people are above the Torah. Kafi, like it says in a revealed way, like we said in Tshuva. Even a person that, God forbid, transgresses the whole Torah, as he can do Tshuva, he can return to God, and God will forgive him, like we just finished learning, because his soul comes from a place which is higher than the Torah, from God's essence. Like it says that they asked the Torah, what should you do with a sinner? And the Torah said, if he did a bad sin, so he has to die. And they asked God, and God said, let him do tshuva, and I'll forgive him. So it seems that the Jewish people are separate from the Torah. The Torah can't be separate from the Jewish people. The Torah depends on the Jews, but a Jew can be separate from the Torah. That was the whole idea of Zionism. It was supposed to be a Jewish people without Torah, without holy. But Kivin Torah ba, since the Torah came together with the Jews, 2 beginnings, Elisha Gufa, this, the Jewish people were first. So we can understand that the essential existence of the Jewish people, even though the Jew doesn't do Torah, even though he doesn't even know that he's Jewish. A Jew doesn't know that he's Jewish. He doesn't know there's such a thing as Torah. He doesn't even know what the word is. He never heard of it before. But nevertheless, he's a Jew. He is essentially attached to the Torah because the Jewish people are attached to God, and therefore the wisdom and the will of God is the Torah, that the Torah and God are totally one. Therefore, the existence of the Jewish people, because they're one with God, maybe it brings the Jew eventually to do Torah and commandments in a revealed way. Like the Rambam says, Sharatzon Panimi, that the true inner will of every Jew, even in a Jew who's in a situation, a Yetzir Tokfo, that his is what do you call the Yetzir Hora, that his selfish inclinations are forcing him and controlling him totally, and he's got no connection to Torah mitzvahs. Nevertheless, the true inner will of a Jew is to do Torah and the commandments. Rotza liot Yisrael, v'rotza hu la'asot mitzvahs. A Jew wants to do the commandments and to keep away from sins. That's every Jew. Ella, but she'al derech haragil inyan zeh gufa. But in a normal way, this fact that the Jewish people were before the Torah, this is revealed by means of the Torah. The Torah reveals the highness of the Jews. Because according to the normal service of God, that's what the Adam Yashar Holech, a person, a normal Jew, what does he want to do? He wants to do the Torah and he wants to do the commandments. That's what they say, that the Jews in Yemen, in Yemen, and the Jews in Morocco. This is what I heard, that in Yemen and in Morocco, the Jews over there was no such thing as a religious Jew. No such thing. There was a Jew. All the Jews did all the commandments. It was like the most, that's a Jew. Once in a while, a Jew would go crazy. Something would happen to him, and he wouldn't do the commandments. Okay, that was a totally unique and abnormal situation. But in those places, in those Sephardic countries, it was pretty much that way also in Iraq and the other countries until when the British came into Iraq, when the French came into Morocco, when the Yemenites were brought to the land of Israel, right to the Medina Israel, then all of a sudden there started to be things of, normal people, Moroccan Jews, Yemenite Jews, Iraqi Jews, Sephardic Jews, that they didn't do Torah commandments. The Sephardic Jews in Tunisia and all these places, not like the Ashkenazic Jews. The Ashkenazic Jews had generations and generations of deniers of God, of Spinozas and people like this. But by the Sephardic Jews, there was no such thing. A Jew did Torah and the commandments. That's what a Jew was. Only afterwards they become separate, because the nature of a Jew is to do the Torah and the commandments. That's the nature of a Jew. And when this true nature is revealed, by means of this, the Torah reveals the highness of a Jew. Even without this, without the Torah, it is possible that there can be there can be the revelation of the essence of the Jew as it was above the Torah. Sometimes we see that was the whole story with Purim, right? All the Jews wanted to leave the Torah, came along Mordechai, Chanukah especially. Chanukah, all the Jews left, they wanted to be Greeks. The Greeks ruled over the whole world, and the Jews wanted to be part of it. The Jews aren't fools, and the Greeks accepted them. The Greeks were intelligent people, they were sophisticated, they were cultured people, and the Jews wanted to be part. The whole holiday of Chanukah is that somehow or other was awakened in the Jews the Torah. So Jews can exist without the Torah, but eventually their essence will be revealed. That's the explanation is like this. When it says Talat Kashirin, when it says that there are three binds, three knots, K-N-O-T, three knots, knots. There are three binds that are tied one to the other. God is tied to the Torah is tied to the Jews. So it's known the question, hey, wait a second, you said that there are three connections. Three connections. God is connected to the Torah, and the Torah is connected to the Jews. That's only two connections. Shlosh Devarim, three things are if you want to attach three things, that they're attached with two knots, right? Two connections. The Torah is connected to, God is connected to the Torah. the Torah is connected to the Jews. That's two connections. Now, what does it mean that there's three connections? One of the explanations is that in addition to the fact that the Jewish people are attached to God, the Torah, there's also the third attachment, which is the Jewish people. The Jewish people, in addition to the fact that Jewish people are attached to God by means of the Torah, there's also the Jewish people are directly attached to God. Kafishi Yisrael, like Jewish people, are above the Torah. Anymore, they're attached to the Torah with Jewish people. They are the ones that attach the Torah to God. So what do we think before? God is on the top. It's like this totem pole, right? God is on the top, in the middle is the Torah, and below that is the Jews. It says, but there's three connections. Here you only have two connections. God is connected to the Torah, and the Torah is connected to the Jews. Where's the third one? It says the Jews are also connected directly to the Torah, and even more. Really, it can be the other way around. On the top is God, then there's the Jews, and then there's the Torah. God, the Jews connect God with the Torah. It says that King David did it. Kolomar, in other words, the Jewish people have two levels. There's one level of the Jewish souls as they are below in the physical body, that then they're part of the creation, because of the concealment of the world and the body. Therefore, you cannot see in a revealed way the attachment of the Jews with God. And therefore, there can be a Jew, so to speak, right, that he's not connected to God, he's connected to the Torah. And therefore, you have to reveal this by means of the Torah. That even when he is in the world, the rights of a Kodesh Baruch Hu are all one. So a Jewish person has to find the godliness in the Torah and reveal it. But it's possible for a Jew to be connected to the Torah and not to be connected to God. But there's another aspect of a Jew that by means of this, when the Jews are connected to the Torah, this reveals the essence of the Jew. That the essence of a Jew is connected to God even without the Torah. Kafishi Yisrael b'Kodesh Baruch Hu, God, Jews and the Torah are totally one. Kafishi Kadmu Milo Torah, because they are above the Torah. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have to do the Torah. The whole purpose of the Jews being connected to God is that they put godliness into the Torah. Therefore, the Jewish people have the power to give and to make new ideas in the Torah until they join the Torah and God, which is above the Torah. So the Jewish people, they put holiness into the Torah. But we can say, since the Jewish people, as they are below, because they are the Bikurim, they are the first fruits of God, Harigam Lamata, also below, we have to say the essence of the Jewish people as they are above from the Torah, mitpatet, in the idea of they're doing tshuva, like we said before. So again, let's do it again. Since the Jewish people, even as they are here in the world, they are the first fruits of God. Like it says, Lifnei Hashem Elokecha. This is how they are connected directly to God, above the Torah. So we have to say that also below the Jewish people as they are here, Yeshno, the essence of the Jewish people still is revealed how it is above the Torah. We can move on, like it says by the rabbis say, Kol echad v'echad, that every single Jew has an obligation to say, Bishvili nivra olam, for me the world is created. And really this is every human being has to say it, because they all come from the first man. Shezeh klal, each and every Jew, even a total ignoramus, that he hasn't got any connection to the Torah. An ignoramus means nobody ever taught him. Could be a genius in mathematics and a professor in physics and philosophy and psychiatry and everything, but he doesn't know the Torah. Nevertheless, the whole world is in his hands. The Qumran, like the rabbis say, even nivra bolam, like it says, makarvim at the briot. Like it says, you have to love even those people. The only good thing you can say about them is that God created them. Shahayata livnei matan Torah, livnei atzivu and limud Torah. What about the Jews before they received the Torah? Nevertheless, you have to say, for my sake, the world was created. So the world was put into the hands of every single Jew because every Jew is connected directly to the Creator. But the instructions of how to change the world is through the Torah, because the Torah is also directly connected to the Creator. And all three are intrinsically connected one to the other. Yesh Lomar, we can say, is this comes out in action, what? A child. What about a child before he starts to speak? 1 year old. There's no possible way you can teach him Torah. Also a Jew, that he's a child, he's a baby, as far as his knowledge of Judaism. Shadayin ein lo shaychus gilu the Torah, has got no connection to the Torah. Shalom bashmato, not that he's guilty, but like we call it tinuk shenishba, lebein hagoyim. There's this term in Judaism that if you find a Jew that doesn't do any of the commandments and he does all the sins, does everything, all the sins and everything. But what he didn't know. He was never educated. He was brought up thinking he was a non-Jew. So a person like that, you can't say he's guilty of anything. He didn't do anything wrong. On the other hand, he didn't do anything right either. So punishments you can't give him because he's not guilty. He's totally ignorant. But on the other hand, you can't give him any rewards either because he never did anything good. But nevertheless, this Jew is like a baby. Since God made this situation, he's not guilty. A baby is not guilty that he's a baby. And therefore, even though this Jew has no connection, a revealed connection to the Torah, but nevertheless, he is also bikurim. He is also first fruits. That he must be in front of God is God. That he is previous and precedent to everything in the world. He's even before the Torah. Everything in the world was created for him to fix up. Kolomer, in other words, the serving God in an actual way, you have to have two attitudes. Number one, al derech haragil, in a normal way that the Jewish people are attached to God by means of the Torah. Therefore, it says, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Therefore, the main commandment is learning the Torah. If you can do a commandment and learn Torah together, so you should learn the Torah, right? The Torah is very important. And then do the commandment afterwards. Therefore, there's a constant commandment for every single Jew to learn the Torah every single moment that's free, every male. Kevin, since Shebazeh, totally this depends on the whole existence of the Jewish people. Learning the Torah, that's the connection of the Jews to God, right? Right, but there's also another connection. When we're talking about a person that is in a situation that through no fault of his own, that he has not got any connection with the Torah. That's how he was educated. That's the lack of education. Nevertheless, he still is pure first fruits. Everything was created for him. He's a Jew. The Jewish people are the first fruits of God. And even if they don't know what that means, the fact that he is the first fruits inside, this is what's going to pull him. This infinite good and value, this is what's going to pull him to eventually, yes, do the Torah. That's what we said, Nasev and Ishma. The Jewish people said, we'll do it, and then we'll understand it. It's much better if we can understand it first. But finally, in the end, the Jewish people are above any logic or reason or understanding their connection directly to God. And this is what brings them to do the Torah. That's the idea of the first fruits. That's the idea of first fruits. Right, what is going to be the connection to this, to us, first of all, but mainly to the Moshiach? That the Jewish people are special, we're the first fruits of God, and that God has chosen us to show that the whole world belongs in the Holy Temple. What's this got to do with us? We'll find about that yesterday. We'll find tomorrow, yesterday. Tomorrow. Now let us do the Yom Yom. See, sometimes this is on there. I can't. Okay. No, it's not what is screen sharing. Let's start this like this. Let's do like this. 1 second. Screen share. Does this work? No. I just can't get out of this thing. I want to come in here and write this yom here, but I can't. Oh, there it is. Another miracle. Today is Yom. The Alter Rebbe said like this. We learned this a lot of times. It's a Mishnah in Sanhedrin. If you save, it says, why was man created alone? All the other animals and everything, God created them in groups, right? Why was man created alone? He wasn't even created with his wife. He was created alone. Why? Because to show you that any person who saves one Jew, it's as though he saved the whole entire world. The person must look at a Jew, how he is in the essential thought of what's called Adam Kadmon, before the world was created. There, each soul stands with all the generations that are going to come from it until the coming of the Moshiach. When one does a favor to another Jew, it's a favor to all of those souls until the end of all generations. And of course, this applies also to all mankind, but especially the Jewish people. The Jewish people are our brothers. They're the ones that God gave the Torah to. So by helping a Jew, this, not only that it's sometimes it's harder to help a non-Jew, there's no problem to help a Jew, right? Especially if you know the guy, you can't stand them. So to help another Jew is a very, such an important thing, because when you do a favor to one individual, it's a favor to the whole entire world. That's what it means. You save one person, it's like you save the whole entire world. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, 3 o'clock, God willing, we're learning Chumash. We're learning about the blessings and the curses that on Mount Gerizim and Mount Avel. You too, shalom. Have a good day. God bless you all. Have a good day with Moshiach now. Now, let's sound the shofar. 1 second. Shofar. Shana Tova.